10 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and if my calculations are correct, I am no longer see-through. Let me just say that my wardrobe team got a stern talking to. Injuries this week. One major injury of note, Rob Gronkowski took a huge hit to the chest, and there was some speculation as to whether or not he may have had a punctured lung. Now they're saying that he doesn't have a punctured lung, but he is going to miss next week's game. Suspensions this week. Alshon Jeffrey got banged 4 games for a PED violation. That's performance-enhancing drugs. And speaking as someone who's watched Alshon Jeffrey pretty closely this year, enhanced is not a word that I would use to describe his performance. And I don't know if he was paying for these PEDs, but Alshon, you're going to want to get some of that money back. High score this week was Ezekiel Elliott, who scored 44.9 points to lead the Moth to a 152.5 to 91.9 point win over Shower Hug. This is the Moth's 3rd win in a row, evening his record at 5-5, keeping him right in the thick of things. And with the loss, Shower Hug is pushed right to the brink of disaster. Now, a 3-game winning streak is pretty good, but a 4-game winning streak is even better. And that's the league-leading streak that Team Blumpkin is on this week, winning their 4th game in a row. This one over the Dennis system by a score of 157.7 to 135.2. And oh, by the way, the Dennis system has now lost 4 in a row. Now, going into Monday Night Football, the Dennis system actually led this game by a score of 135.2 to 98.3. They had a 37-point lead, looked like they had a pretty good shot to win the game, until you took a look at Team Blumpkin's roster and realized he still had 3 players left to go. And those 3 players were AJ Green, Odell Beckham, and to a lesser degree, Rashad Jennings. So Team Blumpkin needed about 37 points and got about 59 points and completed the major comeback, scored the top score of the week, and was definitely an honorable mention for this week's hero. Okay, so now we go from one of the games of the week to the absolute shame of the week. The matchup between Devontae's Inferno and Rutherford B. Hazy was a debacle. It was embarrassing, it was shameful, it was disgusting, it was the lowest total points scored by 2 teams in a game ever. It was the lowest winning score of all time, 79.4 points. And it was just a travesty that either team should come away with a win when both teams performed so badly. The highest score in the game was 16.6. and that was on the losing team. The lowest score in the game was a -4, also on the losing team. That was the Green Bay defense. Now, probably the deepest cut. The worst thing about this is that Rutherford B. Hazy did not have enough faith in his beloved Seahawks defense to play them against Tommy and the boys, and that ultimately cost him the contest. Shameful. All right, so it's still a little too early for playoff scenarios. We got 3 games left in the regular season, and I mean, if I sat down and really worked it out, I could probably break it down for you guys, what needs to happen for what to happen, but I'm not a fucking mathematician. So far, here's what we know. The bootleg crab leg is pretty much locked in for a playoff spot. We don't know which spot it could be, but he looks like he's in there. The 6-4 Gotham Rogues and the 5-5 Toddler Fight Club and the 5-5 The Moth all have the easiest remaining schedules in the last 3 games of the season. So they're all in prime position to lock down playoff spots. As is Rusty Strombone, who sits at 6-4. His schedule is middle of the road, difficult, but his record puts him in a really good spot. On the other side of the coin, the 6-4 Golden Showers have one of the most difficult remaining schedules, and on the outside looking in, 4-6 Shower Hug has the most difficult remaining schedule. Shower Hug needs to win out and get some help in order to make the playoffs. The Golden Showers would need to lose out in order to John Ortiz it and miss the playoffs. And if I didn't mention your team here, thanks for playing. Alright guys, now the moment we've all been waiting for. This week's hero, Toddler Fight Club, scored 138.2 points in an enormous statement win over new rival Bobby Johnson. These 2 teams have played 6 times in the history of the league. Toddler Fight Club just won their 5th game head-to-head. That's right, Toddler Fight Club is 5-1. Bobby J won the first game in 2012 and hasn't beaten Toddler Fight Club since. This includes Bobby J's first ever playoff game last year, where he lost to Toddler Fight Club. 4-1 in the regular season for Toddler Fight Club, 1-0 in the playoffs against Bobby J. In this game, Tyrell the Gazelle scored 25.5 points to lead Toddler Fight Club, and Cam Newton pitched in 23.8. This win gives Toddler Fight Club bragging rights for yet another year, and it keeps him right in the thick of the playoff hunt with 3 games left to go. He talked the talk all year long. He backed it up with a challenge in Week 10. He backed the challenge up with a huge win, and for that, Toddler Fight Club is this week's hero. And for more on this week's big win and this week's big challenge, we go live right now to Albert Pirro from the Toddler Fight Club.
Oh, it's that time, Bobby J. Albert Pirro here from the Toddler Fight Club, here to institute the new team name for my good friend, Bobby J. So, Bob, there was an ass kicking that went down this week. I know you were on the wrong side of it. Happy days for me. The first team name that we came up with, which is pretty obvious, would be Bobby J's Albie Rules. He's the funniest person I know. He's the best looking. He's the best bartender. He knows more about fantasy football than me. But I decided that was far too long, and you wouldn't want to look at my face as your team name over and over and over. So then we went to number 2, which will be Dave, please insert the picture here. That picture with this team name, Bobby HJ's Buckets of Cum, because my fucking team jizzed all over your team this week. We skated all over you guys, and man, did it feel good. If I don't win another game the rest of the season, it was so worth it. But I decided not to go there because we want to keep it PG for the kids. All right, it's for the kids, for the peeps. And the last name, and what we're gonna go with, Bobby J's Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos. Bobby, you know less about beer than you know about fantasy football, and that's not much. It was a real pleasure whooping your ass. I can't wait till next year. I hope some of the other guys here take on the initiative of side bets. It could be a lot of fun. Yes, Bobby, you're awful at fantasy football. So much so that I think honorable mention for team name number 4 might be Bobby should quit. I love this. Hope to see you next year. Dave, back to you.
All right, thanks, Albert. All right, guys, now it's time for this week's GOAT. In the biggest game in his franchise's history, Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos could only muster 93.5 points. Couldn't even make it to 100 in absolutely the biggest spot so far in his franchise's history. Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos is now 1-5 all time against Toddler Fight Club. His one win coming all the way back in 2012. Last year, he lost to Toddler Fight Club twice. Once in the regular season and once in the only playoff game in the history of the Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos franchise. Now, to be fair, Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos did step up to the challenge, did man up, did everything he could to save face in this situation, except score points. So while he was saving face by accepting the challenge, he was really losing naming rights to his own franchise. And for that, Please Don't Watch My Beer Videos is this week's GOAT. Alright guys, key matchups. Pretty much every game this week features a team that's probably not going to make the playoffs against a team that probably is going to make the playoffs, except for 2 games. The first one is 6-4 Rusty Strombone taking on 5-5 Toddler Fight Club. Now, both of these teams have very real playoff aspirations. Both of them are very much in the thick of things, and this game's result will do a lot to determine what the playoff picture looks like going forward. The other game that we're going to take a look at is probably the game of the week between 6-4 the Golden Showers and 6-4 Team Blumpkin. Now, as I mentioned before, Team Blumpkin has won their last 4 games in a row, whereas the Golden Showers arrow has kind of been pointing down the last couple of weeks. However, the Golden Shower still maintains the points lead in the league, but only by 12 points. Team Blumpkin is only 12 points behind the Golden Showers for the points lead. So the outcome of this game could determine who has the points lead going into the final 2 weeks of the season. So we have a huge matchup between 2 teams that definitely want to make the playoffs and definitely need to score points if they want to get paid. Alright guys, Week 10 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember when Albert suggested maybe getting together and watching a game, kind of like we did last year when the Jets and Giants played? Well, let's start talking about that again. The regular season is drawing to a close, but who's to say we couldn't get together for a playoff game on like a Saturday or something like that? Anyway, let's talk about it. And I'll see you next week where it's always sunny.